Hello, I'm Ariam, and this is my Buzzwordathon vlog for June of 2025. If you don't know, Buzzwordathon is a monthly kind of, not exactly a readathon, but it's a thing, reading challenge by Books with Lala. And basically you get two prompts. One is a word or a theme of words that you have to use, that you have to read a book that has them in the title, and the other is something or a theme of something that needs to be on the cover. So this month we have themes for both of them. For the title, we have theme of words that are connected to memory, and for the cover we have the theme is celestial. And so the book I am planning to read for the title is In the Night of Memory by Linda Lagarde Grover, and the book I am currently reading for celestial on the cover is Star Daughter by Shweta Thakrar. So I'm not very far into it. I'm 38 pages into it, which is actually more than I expected. And so what is this book about? Before I get into my feelings about it, what is this book about? So this book is about a teenager. She is 16, nearly 17 when this book opens. Her dad is a regular Indian American. By Indian American, I mean he comes from the continent of India, and he has American citizenship. They live in the U.S. God, some concepts are complicated to explain in words because the words don't fit because of stupid people who didn't know where India was. But her mother is a star. So this book is based on Indian mythology. And in Indian mythology, from what I understand so far from this book, do not take my word for it, the stars are people, and they live in houses, which I think are the constellations. So her mother is a star, and her mother disappeared. She just went back to being a star. She left the human world, and according to the summary, I've not gotten there yet, they call her to take part in this competition to see if she's going to be heir of the celestial kingdom, and she doesn't want to take part of it, but she has to because it's the only way to keep her dad safe, something like that. So, like I said, I'm only 38 pages into it, so I have not got to do it yet, but I'm really glad I picked this up. I'm really enjoying it. So, the other book I'm reading right now, my audiobook, I also really like it, but it is super, super heavy. And I looked at all the books that I have in my TBR this month. I just wanted something light. Okay, something I could just read quickly, which this book I am reading very quickly so far. And this is exactly what I needed for that. Is it a book with tropes that annoy me? Yes. I'm already 38 pages in, and there is teen romance, teasing about teen romance, which I did not appreciate when I was a teenager either. Well, I appreciated it, I feel in my early 20s, and now I'm just kind of indifferent to it, which is interesting. But, so there are some things I don't like, and I really hope we don't concentrate on them. Because of the way the romance is written, I'm not enjoying it. She actually already has a boyfriend when we start the book, which I usually prefer because a lot of the time stuff is written insta-love, but I'm actually not enjoying how the romance is written. But besides that, and I don't like the relationship with her dad. But besides that, I do like the relationship with her aunt so far. I think it's funny, and I like the relationship with her best friend. But again, I'm only 38 pages in, so I'm waiting for these stuff to be expanded. What I really like is her star connection and what is happening so far. So right now, nothing I think is going to be spoilers because I'm only 38 pages in. How many times have I said that so far? So what we know about her so far is that her hair is naturally silver. And when I say naturally silver, I don't mean she's going gray. I mean her hair is sparkling. It is glowing silver. So she has to dye it black so nobody will know that she's a star, she's half star. And also when she sings or plays music, she automatically calls star music to her. But also she has star music inside her somehow, and so she has to get it out sometimes. So she has a secret room where she plays and sings. And at the same time, she loves getting it out, but it could also really hurt her. And I don't know if the author meant this, but I think it can be a really good metaphor for a lot of creative stuff. But right now, so what is happening is that she keeps on hearing the star song that she used to not hear. She would only sometimes hear it, it would be very faint, and now she keeps on hearing it very loudly and getting super distracted by it. Plus, she just dyed her hair 3 days ago, and now it's all gone away. And we know that her mother dye did not stay on her hair, so she had to wear a wig so nobody would be like, oh my god, you have glowing hair. So, obviously, her connection to her being half a star is getting stronger somehow, but we don't know exactly why or how that's happening. Hello, it is June 8th, and I'm here to tell you that I did DNF the book I was reading, Star Daughter. So, which is not altogether too surprising. I was enjoying it, as I said, but then I kept on reading, and the fantasy aspect was really small. It was much more focused on the romance. I do not know if it was romantasy. Maybe it was just fantasy with a lot of romance focus, but overall it's not for me. Like, if it seems it's something that you're into, I would recommend it, because there wasn't anything wrong with the book. It was a good book. It just wasn't for me because of the romance aspect. So the book I decided to switch to is The Devil Makes Three by Tori Bovilano. This is another YA book, but this is horror dark academia. So I don't know much about it. All I know is that we have our main character, who is a scholarship student at this really rich boarding school, I think. But at a really rich school nevertheless. And she decides to summon a demon for some reason in the library. That's all I know about it. I do like the aspects of people who are poor being in, like, rich people places, like scholarship students and that. So I hope I like that part. I'm not sure how I'll feel about it. I'm kind of nervous, to be honest. But that's all, yeah. Hello, it's May 8th. I think I updated you this morning. I'm pretty sure I updated you this morning. Well, now it is this evening. It is well over 12 hours later. It's probably like 14. And, well, it's not well over. Anyways, I think you could tell that it's harder for me to concentrate in the evening. Anyways, I am now 81 pages into The Devil Makes Three. And so I've definitely learned more about this book. So this book follows, we have our two main characters. We have Tessa, who is a scholarship student at this very prestigious boarding school, and in order to afford it, she works in the library. And then we have Elliot, who is the principal's son, but he really hates his father. His mother is very sick, and she's a magician, and he wants to find a magic spell to cure her. What I didn't exactly understand quite yet is magic, the magic that is happening in this world. It definitely seems that there is kind of like, people are kind of used to magic. They're not totally surprised, but at the same time, it's not like very popular. Like, Elliot has mentioned meeting other magicians, but they are reading grimoires, but both Elliot and Tessa have said that most people don't believe in magic, and Tessa has said that she's kind of agnostic about the belief, or that most people are agnostic about the idea of magic, and Tessa has said that she's definitely on the more agnostic, doesn't believe side of magic, but she does believe in ghosts, which I'm pretty sure is going to come up soon. So far I am enjoying it, though I'm a bit nervous to say that because I'm not sure if the reason I started enjoying it less this afternoon when I was reading it while waiting for the third bus of the day is because I was just tired of reading and tired of waiting for the bus, and just I was like, it's only Sunday. It is only Sunday, but I was just tired of reading because I had listened to an audiobook for quite a lot of the day, and I read quite a lot on Saturday, so I feel like that was the reason that I was tired of reading it. But I didn't really have a choice because what else am I going to do when I'm waiting for the bus that's taking like 15 minutes to come? And anyways, it was also a horrible bus ride. The bus driver had this really, really awful scent in the bus, and it made me so nauseous. But anyways, bus rides aside, I was feeling like, at that point of the day, I was just feeling kind of like over it, but I'm pretty sure it was more like myself and just like I did not want to read anymore that day. Today, that is, that day's day. But I really am enjoying the way that the author writes these two characters because they're both likable and unlikable. So we get point of views from both of them. And so we get to see them, how they see themselves and how the other person sees them. And truly, it's crazy. Because usually I feel like in these point of views, the other person would be like disliking the other person. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but basically they each see I know how to explain it. Usually I feel like those types of point of views, it would kind of be very flat at the beginning and one-dimensional how they see each other, but already from the beginning they immediately besides the first meeting, which there was some trouble there in a good way, like as in Tessa made a really big and stupid mistake that turned out to be really funny, but to us, the readers, not to her, Elliot. But after that, they get past that, and what's really interesting is the way they see each other and the way they see themselves, because they both see the good and bad in themselves, and they see the good and the bad in the other, but the good and the bad they see in the other is not the good and the bad that the other sees in themselves. Like, the good stuff, to put it more simply, the good stuff that Tessa sees in Elliot is not the good stuff that he sees in himself, and the bad stuff that she sees in him is not the bad stuff that he sees in himself. He sees other points of view of who he is. So I think that is just wonderful writing. Like, it really fits together and it's so good. Also, I'm really enjoying Tessa as a main character because, and at the same time I'm not enjoying her because of this, is that I relate to her. Like, I really understand who she is as a person. Like, everything she does, I think that's kind of why I'm not enjoying, that's kind of where I'm getting bored, is that everything she does, I'm like, oh, she'll probably do this and feel this way because I am her and she is me. So I would think like, oh, I'm enjoying it because I'm relating to her, that is happening, but I'm more so bored because I already know what she's thinking. But that's the main thing that has happened so far. The world itself, there hasn't been much, like I said. So I suppose we're going to get, as the book goes on, we'll get to see more of what the world is. Hello. It is now June 10th, and I want to talk about The Devil Makes Three because I'm around 100 pages from the end, and I am really enjoying it. So I didn't talk to you yesterday, but I'm here today. So one thing I find really, really interesting about this book is that I have not read that much horror, and I have never read any horror that has the demon possession kind of thing, and I've never even actually seen a movie or a TV show or anything that takes it seriously. I did see in Legends of Tomorrow, they have parodies of it, but that's the thing. This whole idea of demon possession is such a classic horror trope, and maybe even classic history trope, that, am I allowed to laugh at that? That doesn't seem like something I should be laughing at as a Jew. Anyways, because it's not part of my culture. Anyways, because it's so classic, it's incredibly pervasive. So I have seen parodies of it, and I've seen it mentioned, and it leads to this very interesting experience where on one hand I know the beats of the trope, on the other hand I've never read anything like this before, which I find an incredibly interesting experience. And I'm really enjoying it. It definitely, while the last time you saw me I was enjoying it, yesterday I was enjoying it a little less because I had gotten the gist of the characters, but the horror hadn't really started yet. Now the horror started, and it really ramped up. Like, that's what I needed. The horror had started, but it didn't ramp up. Now, that's fine. I understand why the author did that, and I think that it was a fine choice. It was a good choice. I just personally really like my horror to be ramped up from the beginning. It's just a me thing. So I didn't really like that it took a while. But now the horror is there. At the same time, we are still getting more about these characters. And I really like them. I've mentioned this, but I really like these characters. And I think the author does a really good job writing characters and relationships. Except for the fact that I do not like that they're insta-loving. There definitely are two main characters, Tess and Elliot, are in insta-love. They instantly see each other and are attracted, which is fine. And I do understand why Elliot is in love with Tess. Because, like, but I still don't like how insta-loving it is. I just think it's too insta-loving. Hello, it is June 11th, and I've literally, like, 4 minutes ago, finished The Devil Makes Three. And I enjoyed it. It was definitely not my favorite book of all time. I had problems with it. Like I said, the insta-love, I didn't like. Like, especially at the end, insta-love never really feels satisfying when it wraps up, because we never really got the story of how their love happened. And there was definitely some clunky writing choices. But overall, I enjoyed it, and I thought it was a good book, and it was just one of the things I found interesting about it that was also kind of disappointing, because I was like, oh, it could have been better if the writing hadn't been as clunky as it was. Like, it wasn't super clunky, but there were definitely times where it was clunky, and I felt like the author wasn't getting their point across as well as they could be because of the clunkiness. And one of the things that was the theme of how I actually mentioned this way back in the beginning, not realizing it was a theme this author was talking about, of how there are different versions of you that you see and that other people see, and like you, and all of these versions are the same person, but you will see different yous at different times, and other people are going to see different yous even at the same time as you were seeing a different you, or other people are seeing different yous. And I really like that. I just wish it could have been talked about a little more. But overall, yes, I enjoyed the book. Now, hopefully tomorrow, with God's help, I will start in the Night of Memory. I do not remember the author's name right now, but I do know that I believe this is literary fiction. I'm not sure if it's set in Canada or the US. I'm going to discover a lot of things when reading this, huh? So, but this is, as I said, this is about two girls who are First Nations, and their mother gives them up to the state. They're put in foster care, and she disappears. And this is basically about their life. From what I understood from the summary, it centers on them living with relatives as like part of a foster care kinship system. But the summary also vaguely mentioned them living in other houses, so I'm not sure really what it will focus on, because, summaries are not always very accurate. It is June 12th, and today I started In the Night of Memory by Linda LaGuerre Grover. I not only did I not remember the author, I also remembered the name wrong. But I'm really loving it. I'm 80 pages through, and most of that I read really quickly. And the time when I did it really, really quickly, it was not the book's fault. It was someone on the bus who was listening to music way too loud, so I could hear it through his Bluetooth earphones. Also, 80 pages. This is a very short book. This book, it says it is 177 pages. So that's 42% of the way through the book already. So I'm like nearly 50%. And wow, this stuff's really loud, isn't it? Anyways, I'm really loving this book. But I feel like I have nothing to say about it except complaints. So let me tell you the plot first. So the plot is basically, as I told you, we have these two girls, Azure and Rainy, and they are Anishinaabe. They live in, I believe, Minnesota. They mentioned the cities, they don't mention the state, and I looked up the cities which they're in the beginning, but I forgot. I'm pretty sure it's Minnesota. And when they're respectively 3 and 4, their mother gives them up to the state to foster care, and they spend like 10 years in random foster placements. And then at 13 and 14, which is just where I got now, they go to live with their family. So obviously this is a lot, I think, about Native women going missing, but also about Native families being torn apart and the history of that, which is, if you don't know, there was an act in America called the Indian Child Welfare Act, which basically said that in all cases where you have a Native American in foster care, they should, every chance, like, it should be the priority to place them with a family who's also Native American. Like, generally, I believe it's the priority to try to place people, well, it's technically on paper the priority to place children with their family, if possible, but this added, like, also that it should be with Native Americans, because if you don't know, there was this very ugly history in America of taking Native American children away and trying to make them white in boarding schools, basically cultural genocide. And so this book is happening in like the 70s to 80s when it comes to Azure and Rainey's story. But that's not exactly true. So that's like our main storyline that we follow, and now we've also begun, and we're following it from Azure's point of view, and now we're also beginning to follow the point of view of this kind of aunt of theirs. So also interesting, she's white. She has basically been adopted into this family because she got pregnant with their son's child, and her mom kicks her out. The son, whatever. So they're going to go live with her. I've just gotten to the part where like they arrive at the house. So we're also following her point of view, and that's also linear. But we've also been getting all along like different points of view of the past and also the future. So this is the future for the book. Like the main story is happening in the 70s and 80s, but we also get like from like the 2000s, we're getting someone in this family's perspective, and we're also in the past when their mom was a little girl and what she was and this story really emphasizes that the past has a huge influence on the future. And yeah, so I've really been enjoying it. It is confusing the way that story is built, but I do like it. The only thing that's really confusing that I wish it would change is that the kids, this is third person, but it also is from each person's point of view. Like I said, we've been getting point of views, even though it's in third person, and the kids are like, they're referring to their parents as in their first name. So like when we get Azure's point of view, she doesn't refer to her mom as mom or mama. She refers to her as Loretta. And I first thought it was like that maybe because, she hasn't seen her since Azure was 3. But we get it for the other characters too. Like there's this friend of Loretta's growing up, and and in the narration she calls her parents Patsy and Buster, and it's like that all the time, and it's actually really confusing because we're used to people calling their parents mom or dad or whatever, and so it really confused me to the timeline. I had to go back and really look at the family chart, and it's still confusing even though I have the family chart in my head now. So that is something I think could change, but that's really a minor complaint. So even though it's confusing, I am enjoying these jumping point of views and timelines. But I'm not. My main complaint right now, and I think this hopefully is going to be my only main complaint, is that despite this book being written in multiple points of views, they all sound the same. Like, they all sound as if they're written by the same person, and it really shouldn't be, because we're getting points of view, you know, of a girl who grew up in the 80s and a girl and in the 70s and 80s, and then we're getting someone who grew up in the 50s and someone who grew up, a few people grew up in the 50s and someone who grew up in the 30s, and they grew up in totally different places, like all over Minnesota. But I'm pretty sure Minnesota is, like, at one point, one of the characters takes a bus from one city in Minnesota to the other for 6 hours. Minnesota is very big. So I really feel like they should be talking differently. Not even, I mean, also from a literary point of view, you want to have your characters sound different. And so that's not happening. It isn't a huge thing. Like, in some books it could be a huge thing, but here it isn't a huge thing because the characters have different enough personalities, and that still gets across. If the characters didn't have different enough personalities, I would have DNF'd this book, because then what would be the point of reading it for me? But yeah, so there are some books where that would be a problem. Here, the characters that have different personalities still gets across. It's just a thing that is there in the back of my mind that is bothering me. This is now 7.5 minutes this clip. That's crazy. Hello, it is June 16th, and I finished In the Night of Memory today, and I really like this book. So, but I feel at the same time I don't have much to say about it. Like, I just gobbled it up. So, the only thing I did complain about of being confused about the family, that did get cleared up a little. Obviously I wish it had been cleared up earlier, but better late than never, right? But yeah, basically I don't have anything to say about it except I really liked this book. It was very... kind of reminded me in the way it was written of Jacob Have I Loved, because it was very much just almost like vignettes into the lives of this community, specifically following our main character, Azure. Or Azure, I'm not sure how to pronounce her name. Azure, it's a color. And I thought it was really beautiful and well done. Like, I want to convince people to read it, so I want to say more about it, but I don't think I really have anything more to say. I really liked it. I thought it was great. So just to wrap up what I read for this video, I DNF'd a book that starred Rishvata Sakrar, which wasn't the book's fault. It was not a book for me. But then I read 2 books I really, really enjoyed. And I think both of them were out of my comfort zone. Like, I generally stick to fantasy and middle grade. One of those was YA horror, and the other was adult realistic fiction lit fic. I'm not usually a big lit fic fan, and I really like them both. Bye! See you!